time with family, staying active, doing what you love. We understand how important it is to live your best life, even as times are changing. At Holzer, we strive to help every patient achieve their best health during every stage of life. With more options for care through in-person and virtual visits, we are dedicated to providing you with excellent care every time. Live your best life with Holzer.
Welcome to Talk of the Town, episode 30, brought to you by the Gallatin County Chamber of Commerce and Holzer Health System. I'm joined today by the Buckleys, Erin and Erin from River City Manufacturing. We're going to talk a little bit about how they've gotten to where the company is, and a little bit about the community and things like that. So, guys, welcome in.
Hey.
Thank you.
We've been working on this one for a couple weeks. We had you here before, and we got to solving the world's problems, and the school bell snuck up on us, and we had to move it. But we were just talking about how I kind of first met you guys was, I was in radio, and we were looking to get items for an on-air auction, and I came to your garage. Yeah. And I still have that sample wallet at my house, and that was kind of how I was introduced to the product. So it's not just, you didn't just go out to your garage one day and be like, oh, I have a piece of leather, I want to build something. How does this all get started?
Well, I guess just briefly go over.
Right.
So, Erin got in a motorcycle accident in 2010, and
in
Philadelphia. And long story short, we moved back here, and he couldn't work for about a year and a half. Mm-hmm. So, in his downtime, he went to the shoe repair shop that used to be here, and learned leather work from them, because he can't, binge shows on Netflix. He has to be doing something. So, then you made me a bag for my birthday, mm-hmm. and posted that on Instagram, and we had a couple orders,
pretty
wildly
quickly,
enough.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't posting it order these. It was just, I made this for Erin, and then people wanted them. So he started making some stuff out of a spare bedroom in our house, and then it just kind of
went to a shed.
Yeah.
And then we rented a space next to Hog Haven in a tattoo shop. Mm-hmm. And then we bought our first house in the garage, yeah. And that's where we met. And then we started doing manufacturing for a single client while we were at the garage still. And that turned into some higher volume, need some employees, need some space, need some more equipment.
We had 3 or 4 employees in the garage.
Yeah, it was like a 600 square foot workspace, and then storage.
Right.
And I had an office. It was pretty wild. And then there was 5 of us at one time making that stuff. We were making about 250 knife sheaths a week.
Wow.
I think there.
Mm-hmm.
And then
also people were coming in, at 8 o'clock in the morning, someone would come by and order a purse, and they would flop out leather and pick all their different colors of parts.
Right.
And so that was our morning a lot of time.
Yeah. And then so in 2015 we bought B&E Shoe Repair and our building downtown with the intention to have some space for more equipment, more employees. And very quickly, we opened a retail store as well. And very quickly we went from having 4 employees to 14, I think it was, right when we first opened. Mm-hmm. And making 250 knife sheaths a week to 250 knife sheaths a day.
Jeez.
5 days a week. And then during the holidays, it was literally 7 days a week.
Yeah.
With your dad came
Dad
in.
would come in on Saturday.
Wow.
And do some stuff.
Your brothers, yeah. It was pretty wild.
So did you have an artistic background? Either of you have because
we met in art school.
We met in art school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that makes sense. So I was going to say, I just, there's not just anybody who can just go and design something or make it to where it's usable.
I have a pretty strong background in construction. My stepdad was a construction worker. My grandfather built furniture and had a little shop that we used to go do stuff at, and we always did projects with him growing up. And then, so I was always doing hands-on stuff, and then I rode bikes and had to learn how to work on that. So like construction and making things was always easy for me. It was always what I wanted to do. And then I went to school for photography in Philadelphia, and that's where we met. And you were going to school for fashion design, correct?
Merchandising.
Fashion merchandising.
Gotcha. Which makes sense when you see the stores and stuff, like the way it's set up and the merchandising of it all, always has stood out.
Yeah.
So, leather work. Let's talk about that just for a second. Has the technology in the industry? I mean, are you still using the same old school stuff? I mean, for the most or is it more of an automated kind of? I mean, how is it compared to maybe the leather work that people were doing 25 years ago?
So there is some very high tech, fast fashion production, overseas especially,
right?
And here domestically too. We've looked at some equipment would change the face of our business, and is you can buy a piece of equipment, like a person buys a laser cutter now, and they create a business based on that piece of equipment. You don't have to be creative to own a laser and make a business out of it. There's some equipment like that, just the sheer volume that you can put through it. If you have the money to put up, you can have a business on that piece of equipment.
Gotcha.
We don't do that. We have definitely always bought old stuff. It's better. It's not coming from China usually. When we moved to the new facility on Eastern Avenue, we bought 2 presses from the 40s. We flew to Long Island, looked at them, said yes to buying them, negotiated the price, and then had them crated and brought here. Right. It was a big deal. Found out later it's the last 2 presses like that on the East Coast that I know of that is going to get sold.
Right.
We bought it for a pretty good price, and we had a pretty crazy offer on one immediately afterwards.
Triple what we paid for both of them.
So we got really lucky on that. That was a great find. And all that does is it's called a clicker press. It's a twin head 30-ton press with basically like a 36 by 60 inch board, and you can cut out. They're basically just giant cookie cutters. So you put the shape down on the leather, and that press cuts it through without having to hand cut it.
Wow.
And it's probably the most basic form of high volume production in leather work. And they're really great machines for how old they are.
I would say we have some automation, but people are still handling everything in one part of the production line or another. Some things are run through machines, some things are done by hand. And we're not maybe I'm speaking out, but we're not interested in hand sewing old timey on the side thing.
No.
Then I have to charge someone $1 bazillion. I would rather do it more efficiently and cost effective to
But still have the quality of something that's...
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you can hand sew a wallet all day. It's great. You got to charge twice as much for it. We have a lifetime guarantee on our retail products that we machine stitch. If you, for some reason, mess that wallet up, if we can't fix it, we'll give you a new one.
Right.
There's no reason to hand sew it and use all this crazy, high-end, expensive, insane leather and insane stitch from this big brand in Japan and these needles from some guy who made them himself in Germany. You can get really into it. You can get into leather craft. We're a leather manufacturer.
Right.
We make manufactured goods. You know what I mean?
You have the guy who makes... So, for an example, for somebody looking from the outside, there is a company like yours who can make a guitar strap.
Yeah.
And then there is a leather person out there who does all this insane checkering by hand.
Yeah.
The meticulous... That's the difference between leather crafting and leather manufacturing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're lucky that, we started in the very high-end one-off, production, and then we morphed it into manufacturing. And we still have a Chris is our pattern maker, and he's what we would consider our craftsman up there.
Right.
If you want a custom guitar strap made with a nice border on it, and you want it to be the nicest leather and, lined in kangaroo or ostrich, yeah, he can do that. You're going to pay for it.
Right.
Just like you would if you were buying it from that same guy that has a website in a cabin somewhere. I don't know where he's at. But, there's those people are out there. We have that guy, and he'll do it. But at the same time, he can look at a product, say, this is the fastest way to make it. This is the equipment we need. And this is how we should produce it for our guys on the line.
Right.
Because not everybody that comes in to work for us is a leather worker. You know, they come in, they need to be able to see our process, understand it, and then produce the same quality that we expect from start to finish on all our stuff. And that's been, we've had quite a few people come through, work for us. We have, I think our oldest employee's been there for over 5 years now. And the other guy's not short after. Chris is very close as well in that time frame. And all those guys are super talented. So we can make anything. I mean, this year we've started doing nylon and some pet products, which has been really great. That's definitely stepped up our automation. We're actually picking up another automated sewing machine. What's today, Wednesday? Thursday. We're picking up one tomorrow morning. And that is for our pet line that we do for Carolina Petco and Pendleton Woolen Mills. So that's a huge client. That's great.
So how does the business go from making knife sheaths for one? I'm guessing that was the one client you had was the knife sheath.
Yeah.
How do you go from that in this amount of time to to now being a, I mean, let's be honest, a major manufacturer when it comes into this kind of thing with multiple clients, across the country, if not more. Mm-hmm. How does it grow into that? Like how does that networking happen?
Erin is like I don't know why, he has more friends across the country than anybody I'd ever met. He is so personable and is like the best networker. And through his amazing relationship with is Weaver the biggest?
Yeah, it's one of our biggest suppliers.
Because he had such a great relationship with them over the last 10 years almost. Mm-hmm. When they were getting rid of some of their quote unquote small customers, which are huge customers for us, they called him.
Right.
So last summer,
they called myself.
I mean, we had some other clients besides the knife guy before
right.
summer that we picked up through Instagram or word of mouth, or we were on a Maker's Row website.
We had a manufacturing website for a while as well, and I mean we've always kind of networked with manufacturing stuff, and we did some shows in New York City at the Pier. We had a customer from that. We did
a show in Boston.
We did a show in Boston where we met an actual leather tannery, an upholstery tannery, that they make. I mean, they're one of the biggest leather upholsterers. They do stuff for Mercedes, Rolls-Royce. They do airplanes. They do crazy stuff. And
they're
we do.
Client now.
Yeah, they're a big client now. They're great. We make stuff for them out of their leathers. But it's just networking. I mean,
but last summer they called and were like, "Would you guys like to take this list of clients?" I don't know, it was over 100 clients.
Yeah, so they were dropping clients. So they're a supplier, and if it was a customer that didn't just use their supplies, they were trying to move them on because they couldn't keep up. They couldn't get employees. Right. They have 4 or 5 40,000 square foot buildings on their campus, and they're huge. Like I said, they're one of our biggest suppliers as well for brass hardware and leather. And machinery too. They actually make machinery, which is great. But yeah, they were. Jim called us. Our rep called us up. Who, like I said, I've known Jim for almost 10 years now. Called myself and it was just like, hey, we have to make some big changes. We have to pass off some clients so that we can keep up with our current workload. Because people were waiting 6 and 7, 8 weeks for small jobs, if not 3 months, 4 months. So we said, and he sent us a few, and the first 3 guys we talked to on the phone was real easy. I mean, it was a great phone call. We hit it off right away. We brought them on, and then it got to be the point where, like, can we handle this in our current location? That was a very quick no.
Right.
Do we have all the current equipment we need to handle this? That was a very quick no.
Yeah.
And then we knew we had the staff at the time, no problem, to kind of move on to a more higher volume production. And then when the pet stuff came on, Joey, our manufacturing manager, who deals mostly with our customers, I do very little on that now. He called me while we were actually on vacation at my parents' house in Pennsylvania and was like, hey, this is a big client. We would have to start a whole new line. It would not be leather at all. It would be hardware, nylon, ribbon. It's very different from what we do now. So we did a little bit of research, looked into it, and it was very feasible, very doable. We talked with them on the phone. We did a couple of FaceTimes, Zooms, and did some math, and it was basically the catalyst to say, yeah, we need to go to a bigger building. We need to invest to make this growth work out. And it's,
it was pretty wild last summer.
Yeah.
Coming
That
off
was
of
in
like
April.
the first year of COVID and closing
Right.
and not
Yeah.
knowing, what the future holds with retail and stuff like that. It was a little bit scary to do it, but it felt like the right move. It definitely was the right move. It was just kind of
Nothing we've ever done with our business hasn't been like, yeah, this just makes sense. It'd be dumb not to do it. We've not always been right.
And that's part of growing a business or being a business owner. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not going to make the right decision every time.
No.
You just have to try to make sure the majority of the time.
Yeah.
So how does someone look at a leather manufacturer and say, man, I really think they do a good job making some nylon dog collars?
Well,
Like how does it go? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, if they would have called and said, hey, can you make us some leather dog collars or harnesses or something, that makes more sense. But
yeah.
How do you get in the nylon business?
It's just sewing machines, and I mean, nylon you can treat sort of the same way you do leather. You just cut it, burn it, and it's fine. It's not going to fray out on you.
Gotcha.
I mean, with fabric, you got to turn corners and do with all these attachments and all these little bar tacks and all this stuff. With nylon, it's very similar. So it's really that product line is 2 machines, and then we do the packaging for them as well in house. So we bought, it's 3 machines because 2 different sizes. So we bought 3 sewing machines and put an employee on it full time, or 4 machines with the cutter. Mm-hmm. Put an employee on it full time, and it ran itself. I mean, It was great. We're doubling production now with this second machine, and we'll have 3 full-time employees on that line. And like I said, we've been making their stuff since September of last year, so less than right at 6 months, I guess.
Yeah. I think
7
a lot
months.
of manufacturers, I don't know if that's true, but it seems like they do a little bit more than leather. Like there's a lot of canvas and leather like items or whatever. And we're not like doing canvas currently, but I hope to.
For those of you who couldn't see that was the look.
No, it wasn't. No. I've been wanting to get into fabric for years. You have to have a lot of space for that. You have to have a lot of material on hand. You have to have a lot of very specific sewing machines that just do one thing. And it just gets expensive and time consuming to make that. So, you make a fabric tote bag, your labor is almost 50% more than it would be on a leather tote bag. You're not hemming, you're not sewing edges, you're not running all these, a serger and all these other, patterns. Your material's cheaper by far, way cheaper. But and you don't have the waste you do with leather. Leather is a 30 to 40% waste on everything.
That's what Erin was telling me after you left the other day. So I was talking about one of my favorite things you guys have ever done was the all access passes for the River Rat Festival.
Yeah, it was just.
And I was like, I think we need to talk about that because we do have the big River Rat concert coming up. Yeah. And she was like, we could probably make it out of the piles of scrap that we have.
Yeah.
And so I can't imagine, because you can't just, the way things are laid out, I'm sure that's where a lot of the waste comes from.
Well, it's a natural product too, and like say you have a big pattern, so we make stuff for a menu company. They do probably 80% of the menus you've ever held in your hand at a restaurant, and we make a lot of stuff for them, and the pattern's pretty large. So if you have a piece that's not super big and you're making a big cut out of it, you have a lot of waste.
Right.
You can get maybe 4 out of one piece of leather. and then the rest is what is waste. So we cut the good pieces aside, and we try to use those for smaller jobs to keep the cost down for smaller clients. And that's definitely worked out. Now, it doesn't always work out. We have a harness company we make stuff for that there's a lot of waste. He has to have really firm leather for safety reasons. It's like I said, it's a saddle company, a harness company. And, so that creates a ton of waste. And it's really good, really thick leather. And with the equipment we have now, we can make it any thickness you want. We can make hundreds of keychains, thousands of keychains, thousands of coasters. You can do a lot of small stuff, patches, really affordably, really cheap, with the really nice equipment we bought and that leather. It's not it's not free leather. We still pay for it. We pay for every square inch of it.
Yeah.
We can definitely do it a little cheaper with that kind of stuff. Just because you cut out the big piece, the smaller piece until you don't have anything left. But yeah, the passes for River Rat were leftovers from another job as well. So we like to not throw stuff away. It's hard to throw that leather away. Like I said, you pay for every square inch of it.
I saw something yesterday, the day before, a guy was talking about he was doing a project, and he said that what he was doing was kind of like doing drywall. When you do drywall, you use about the same amount as you throw away. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like that's kind of the same. You guys do a lot of, you help a lot of clients with branding as well when it comes to getting their image out there, building their brand, which I don't think a lot of small business owners put enough emphasis on sometimes in building their brand.
Yeah.
How did that just come about from, people ordering products, say, I need something really cool to put on this advertising product, or was it just something that kind of grew
so
spontaneously?
A little bit of both. I mean, I think that having a background, I went to school of photography. My roommate at school was an incredible graphic designer, is an incredible graphic designer. He's actually done all of our branding up until this past year and a half. He's done all our basic, all our stuff, him and his company. I think that over the years, we have somebody send you a flip phone photo of their business card. Hey, can you put this on a hat? Hey, can you make me a keychain? Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
I have the skill and ability to do that. Can we do it better than what you have here? Yes. Have I forced that on some people? Yeah. People...
You can't have a die made without an actual file.
Right.
Yeah.
And shockingly enough,
with you.
many people don't have a file.
So, if you're a landscaper and you have a pine tree on your logo, yeah, that's great. That'll probably get you by for a really long time. At some point, there's going to be 5 other landscapers, and when you look at their branding and the effort that goes into it, who do I want to go with? Do I want to go with the guy that has the word art 3D font on his business card? Do I want to go with the guy that has a real logo made?
Exactly.
And looks like a legitimate company? I'm going to go with the guy that looks like a legitimate company.
Right.
In my experience as being a business owner for over 10 years now, that's usually the person who does a better job. Because they care about all the details. They care about from how the business looks to their customer all the way to how the customer feels about the work they did afterwards. And if there's somebody that pays attention to that detail, I think they're going to do a better job.
I agree.
And in the long run, in our experience with customers that we've done that work for, I think it's definitely paid off for them as well. And it's fun. It's one of my favorite things to do.
So you generate the artwork, and then you have a die made.
Yeah.
That's not something you do in-house with the die.
No, we have to send that off.
That's
a very specific, messy... It's a chemical reaction to magnesium plates. It's pretty wild. Yeah.
And then they send you that back, and that's what you use to put on those hat patches or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's called blind debossing, or we do a foil deboss.
Erin actually made our first couple logos ever. I don't know, I'm probably not saying it right. Chiseled them out of a piece of metal or something.
The very first logo I ever put on a bag was on her tote bag. It was a square head bolt from Central Supply from TOTT.
Right.
That I grinded an anchor into.
That's hilarious.
I still have it on my desk.
Yeah.
And that reminds you of where it all started.
Yeah. Like I said, it sits right below my monitor on my desk.
People, I think, may be unaware of all the stuff, the different kinds of things. I mean, obviously we can't get through everything that you can do for a client. But what are some things that maybe you can do or have done for clients as we get toward the end of this thing of products maybe that people wouldn't think of that you can do? You mentioned coasters, keychains. Everybody's familiar with the leather logo trucker hat that is so popular, and you guys do a great job on things like that. What are some things that maybe somebody doesn't think about?
Well, we do everything from design work. If you have an idea for a product, we'll help you bring that into reality. So from idea, sampling, pattern work, all the tech packs, straight through to full-on production in-house. We've set up sampling for stuff made overseas. We've sampled for a client who's had stuff made with Anthropology, Nike. We sampled something for Beyonce's charity foundation one time, which Erin was really excited about.
I'm going to say
they
this.
bought it overseas, but
in my musical background, Beyonce, one of the top 5 nicest people I ever had the opportunity to work with.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, hands down, just sweet as could be. But that's...
I was ready to close our business when someone from her company reached out to sample something, and I thought, well, we can close now.
So you guys, people think about a lot of the normal, like a belt or a purse or a tote, but you guys do a lot of things that maybe can help with people's branding, different unique items to get their name out there. What are just some of the things that you guys can do?
I mean, from like the things that you talked about, the normal stuff you think of that's leather, but we've done, hang tags, packaging, patches on hats, whatever, all kinds of promotional products. We do a lot of that. And then we do, our services would be just like contract die cutting. You need a certain shape out of vinyl or rubber or whatever, a gasket. We can do all that. That's not crazy for us to do. We do really thick leather inlays on a giant furniture manufacturer. So if somebody orders, 20 tables for a hotel, they're all identical, and they have a crazy nice leather inlay on it,
right,
we cut that part out for them. Food and beverage industry stuff, menus, check presenters, all that stuff. Coasters, branding. We can emboss heavyweight cardboards that you see for promotional products, or
right,
table stands, stuff like that. We can do those things. Nylon leather, pet products. I don't know. Shoot, there's 1,000 things. It's a lot of stuff.
I would say one thing you guys did recently that really impressed me, and it wasn't that it was impressive just because of the, the intricacy or anything, but it was, you guys did for kids, you did the library card holders.
Yeah.
For their big promotion for getting kids library cards. And Erin, you and I have talked about the library in a round table. Such an important part of the community that people don't utilize near enough. I know you're a big proponent of the library. But those little Bossard Memorial Library card holders were it was just something that made the kids feel super special to have that. And I thought that was a really cool idea. And
that was all I had.
You guys,
our kids have them, and so I'm like, they put their little couple dollars in there, and their library card is all they have, maybe a zoo card or something. But they are like feeling super cute with their little wallet. I'm like, do you have your wallet with you? So I contacted Debbie and was just like, I had this weird idea. My kids really love their library card wallet, so we did that for, I think it was like September is like National Library Card Month or something. Yeah. So we donated some, and they bought some more to give away too. But that was fun. I like doing little cute stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have busy all our way through 30 minutes of this already. We've got a grand opening coming up
May 13th.
May 13th, so we'll be there. Look for graphics and things on Facebook pages, and we'll get the word out in the e-blast and things like that as well. So a lot of fun stuff going on there, and you can see firsthand exactly what's kind of going on at River City Manufacturing. So Erin, I appreciate you coming in. Like I said, it took us a couple weeks to get this thing put together, but I appreciate it, and we look forward to what's coming up down the road. Don't forget, you can listen to the podcast every Sunday morning during the 8 o'clock hour on 93.1 The Wolf, WJHFM, and you can catch it on YouTube every Friday afternoon. Until next time, we'll see you then.